And so they bring him before the disciples, expecting to meet Jesus. But when they did not meet Jesus, they expected that the disciples, because they followed Jesus closely, they followed Jesus so closely for 3 years, and they were taught by Jesus, and they walked with Jesus. But what does the song say? And he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own. And the joy that we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. Right? That's what the song says. So they're walking along with Jesus, and they're watching him do miracles, and they're talking with Jesus, and they see him do these things, and yet when it's needed, and yet when they're called upon to work on a little boy, they can't do it. And he walks with me, maybe. And he talks with me, maybe. And he tells me I am his own, absolutely. And the joy that we share, are we sharing it? As we tarry over there, none other has ever, known. Did they know it? I doubt it. Did they know it? Maybe. I think they knew it. But we talked about it the other day. They had other questions that they were interested in asking Jesus. For example, when Jesus told them to forgive, and when you forgive, right? When you forgive, if your brother does not receive the forgiveness, then what you ought to do is bring him before a witness and tell your brother about your ought. And then if he does not receive you, take him before the church. And if he does not receive you, then what you ought to do is treat him as a publican and as a heathen man. This is the proof that I have that what happened to me is real, and it's true, and it's exactly what should have happened. Because if they had not done it, I would not know that God is real, right? I would still be walking around. I'll tell it every time I get a chance. I would still be walking around doing what I wanted to do, thinking that it was my world, and thinking that I was able to get away with it. I didn't think that exactly when I was doing what I was doing. I thought I was just walking along, but I was not growing. And they were pouring in, and I was not growing. And they were pouring in, and I was not moving forward. And they were pouring in, and I was not growing in worship, and growing in praise, and growing in thanksgiving. So what was I doing? And the joy that we share, maybe, as we tarry there, he tarried. None other, somebody, has ever, I doubt it. No. This little boy, he went through a lot, but the parents went through just as much, because every time he fell into the fire, it was the parents that had to get him out. And when they came upon the disciples, and they told the disciples about it, and they let the disciples know, hey, the Father let the disciples know, hey, we need healing for our child. Is Jesus available? And when they found out Jesus may not be available, but the disciples said, we can heal him, we can do it, the Father expected results. Wouldn't you? You came out. And here's the thing. The Father tells Jesus later on, and I'm saying it again, the Father tells Jesus later on, I believe. Help my unbelief. He believes. He was not a doubter. He believed. Why? Because he came out. He walked out there. He came out. He came out to see Jesus. So he obviously believed. You don't get up and leave your house to go nowhere unless you believe that when you get to where you're going, you're going to get results. So when he talked to the disciples, he expected results. And I don't blame him, because he expected that because they walked with Jesus, that they would be able to heal the little boy. And because they said they could, they would heal the little boy. And when they tried and tried, it did not work. Why? Because of their faith. I quote the scripture all the time, because of their faith. After a while of the disciples trying, the father brought the little boy to Jesus and said, I brought him to your disciples, but they could not heal him. I imagine that he had a little bit of a tube when he said it. They could not heal him. And I imagine he rolled his eyes at them, had a little bit of an issue, because they tried and they tried. And my question is, were they growing? You spend all time with Jesus and you walking with Jesus. Why aren't you able to heal my son? Why aren't you growing? I spent all that time in church, and I just recently, just now, started becoming the church. Why can't you heal my boy? He came before Jesus and told Jesus a story, and Jesus healed the little boy. He said, do you believe? He said, I believe, Lord. He's holding a sick little boy that he had been to doctors and been to the disciples, and nobody could heal him. And he's holding a little boy that needs healing. And Jesus said, do you believe? He said, I believe, Lord. Help my unbelief. I think when the Father said that, because we automatically believe that he did not believe. That's not true. I believe when the Father said that, he was saying, I believe, Lord. Any part of me that does not believe, help my unbelief. I was watching Left Behind the other night, and every time I watch this movie, I see something that I did not see before. The man said knowing and believing are two different things. Selah. It was the pastor of the church. He's the pastor of the church. And he said, I know your message. I know your words. I can recite it for you because I've seen it so many times. He said, I stood right there and I preached it and I was good. And I was laughing when he says that. But there he says, but they're gone and I'm still here. But he whispers this a little bit, but knowing and believing are two different things. He's walking away from the church and walking out the church doors when he says it, but knowing and believing are two different things. Do you know or do you believe? I say as a Christian, we need to do both. We need to know God and believe God that he is, and that he is a rewarder of those that diligently seek him. We need to know and believe and plant all of our faith inside of it. I got up this morning, and as I woke up, I started to question my faith. I began questioning my faith. I said, Lord, do I have faith in you? You are faithful. But do I have faith in you? It's a beautiful thing because I don't know that I have faith. It says, if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, but I don't know if I have faith. I don't know if I trust you the way that I should. Proverbs 3, 5, and 6 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not to your own understanding. I do follow that scripture, and I trust in the Lord with all my heart, but I don't know that I trust the Lord. I trust in the Lord with all my heart, but I don't know that I trust the Lord. What's the definition of faith? Hebrews 11:1 outlines it. It says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. I said, God, but I got a cheat sheet. I cheat a little bit. Because I see you every day. I see you in my life. I see you in my walk. I see you in everything that I do. I see you. I see you, Lord. I start my day out and I try to remember to start my day out and say, Lord, I'm doing this day with you. So do I have faith? Absolutely, right? Because of the fact that it says faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence. The last part is what I'm looking at. The evidence of things not seen. What if, right? I'm seeing God's face in my spirit. I'm seeing God's face, but the evidence of things not seen, of him not seen, of the Lord that's not seen, of the Lord that's the now unto him who is able to keep me from falling and present me faultless before his throne with glory, majesty, be unto him, the glory of majesty, dominion and power, both now and forevermore. I'm reciting all these scriptures from memory, y'all, so forgive me if I get a little mixed up on the words. Please forgive me. But I'm seeing you in everything that I do. I'm seeing you in my walk. I'm seeing you in my talk. I'm seeing you in my life. I'm seeing you in my growth experience, right? Because here's the thing. Growth would have been easy if I had taken the advice that I was given. But since I did not, now growth is difficult. Now growth is hard, right? And I have to figure out other things, right, to help me with my growth that I would not have had to figure out if I had just taken the advice that I was given and grown. You are not in this thing by yourself. You are in relationship and biblical community. While you have a biblical community that you can be a part of, that you can grow in, take advantage of it. Be a part of it. Listen to your pastors when they tell you exactly what you ought to do. Love on them and love on everybody around you, right? And do your best to grow while you have time. I still say it. If the rapture had happened, I don't know that I would have been caught up with all the works that I do and all the Bible reading that I do and all the studying and all the watching of Christian TV that I do. I don't know that I would have been caught up. Why? Because of the fact that faith without works is dead. Yes, that's true. But the works is not the nominal thing. The faith is. Faith without works is dead because once you have faith, you are going to work it. Once you have faith, you are going to do what you have to do and it will be seen. It will be worked out. Faith is worked out in your life. It does not just sit there. It is not stagnant and it is not static. One more time, faith is not stagnant, and it is not static. Static in being something that's not moving. So I said, God, do I have faith? If I see you in everything that I do I have faith? Absolutely. Because I don't naturally see him in everything that I do. I spiritually see him doing things in my life when they need to be done, right? Because I have clothes to wear. I have food to eat. As they said in Matthew 6:31, it talks about how the Gentiles worry about things to eat and things to drink and clothes to wear. So I see God doing that and I get excited. But I also see the evidence of it, the evidence of what God has done. And that makes me excited too. That makes me excited to know who God is and that he is a rewarder of those that diligently seek him. But even though I'm seeking him and even though he's blessing me according to his will, that does not mean that I will be caught up because you must have faith the size of a mustard seed, right? So I said, God, do I have faith? I started questioning my faith because he's blessed me so much. I see him doing so many things in my life. I said, God, just don't take your spirit from me. Do I have faith? I see you doing it, God, but I don't see me following through. I see you doing it, God, because you are faithful. faithful. But faith, right, without works is absolute dead. So am I dead, right? I could have faith, right, or I could have works. But if I don't have the two together, faith without works is dead. So I don't have the two together, I don't have life. And I started to live when I started to grow. I started to live, right? Have life and life more abundantly. I started to live when I started growing. These disciples, poor disciples, they could not figure out when Jesus healed the man's son. They said to Jesus, they said, why could we not cast him out? Why could we not cast the spirit out? Selah. My thing is faith without works is dead. Is the answer to that.